Today's video, I'm going to show you the exact roadmap that I took to go from being a bedroom producer wannabe to a full-time pro producer that monetized my music. And this process has worked for many of my coaching students who now also do music full-time and are signing to top labels. So, let's get into it. I'm going to break it down step by step so you're going to know exactly what you need to do and how to do it, plus show you some real world examples as well where this has worked for some of my students as well, which is fantastic. And then at the end of the video as well, I'm just going to break down a couple things as well, I'll show you the exact program that we have to help you achieve this. If that's something that you're interested in, I'll show you that towards the end. Anyway, without further ado, let's just get straight into it. So this is the process right here. There are 12 steps that you're going to have to take and 4 stages to get to where you want to be. If you're doing all of the wrong stuff and banging your head against the wall, it's never going to work. It's really important to understand a couple things first, where you're at in the journey. The beginner producer here, somebody that's just spending hours watching content on YouTube. There's no structure to it and they just seem like they're going in circles. They're just trying to replicate things that they see on tutorials. A lot of this is going to be like trial and error. So you'll be just messing around with tools that you don't really understand exactly what they're doing. People in this bucket here, they can't finish tracks. So they have loads of little cool loops or ideas, but nothing finished, nothing released, or at least nothing that they're excited to release. You can be quite an experienced producer who has been doing it for 20 years. Someone like Mark here, who was one of our students, who, he's been doing production for many years and just going round in circles after finally understanding how to use the tools and how to play the game properly. He gets 250,000 streams on his tracks. It's absolutely insane. With a bit of consistency, you can get to the point of being a bedroom wannabe. Generally, they might have released a song or two. You might be releasing on small labels, but you probably know better than anybody as well, rather than just me telling you, is that not all labels are built the same. You might have signed to a label, but ask yourself, how many streams did you get? More than 1,000? Did you get more than 10,000? Probably not, right? You're finding that it's just not really resonating with the audience and you're not able to break that 1, 5, or even 10K streams on your tracks. But it's not quite at that pro level, and you've probably exhausted all of the things from YouTube and maybe even gotten some pre-recorded courses from people like PML. But the real important things are very much overlooked, the fundamental about why they're doing things. Music is such a subjective practice in the sense that every track is different, but there are common problems that you're going to face just in different contexts, right? That's why understanding the fundamentals is so critical. But you're never going to get that from YouTube. You're never going to get that from these pre-recorded courses. There's only a one-way avenue of communication. They're just telling you what they think you need to know, but you might already know it. There's probably lots of stuff that you don't even know that you don't know, even still. And that's why having a connection with a coach or someone that can tell you and give you solid feedback on your music is really critical. You need to go to somebody that's actually an experienced pro who can tell you what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong. And I had this exact experience. So here's me with my very good friend Kobe, otherwise known as Paradox. Look him up. He is fantastic as a producer, unlike all my friends who said, "Oh, this is great. Yeah, keep on going. It's so good." Kobe just said, "You got a cool idea, but it sounds like shit. You need to develop the arrangement, tell a better story," and ripped it apart and said, "This is exactly what you need to fix." And it was the best thing that's ever happened to me. Actually, honest and brutal feedback. It helped me get better. You want to listen to the people that are actually doing what you want to do, right? People who are getting Beatport #1s, hundreds of thousands of streams on their tracks and playing the big shows. Those are the people you want to listen to, not your friends who aren't producers or people who are just doing what everyone else is doing. And 99% of people are not getting the results, okay? Pro producers, they're able to make music over and over again quickly, and it stands out more than everybody else, right? They're signing to the labels that are actually good and can do something for your career, Colorize and stuff like that. Actually, where is it? Here we go. This is a message from Simon, who, just signed to Colorize, which is absolutely fantastic. They're a label that, you sign with them, you're going to get absolute minimum about 50K streams, but usually 200K plus. A lot of these people, they also have mentors and coaches, right? They know the importance of getting guidance If you're wanting to do something, like, yeah, you might be able to do it yourself. It might take you a very, very long time if you actually ever get there. But it's just so much quicker to be like, okay, I need help. I'm going to go get help. Time is a limited resource. You'd rather do it in 1 year or 5 years. Obviously, in the 1 year, you would rather do it, right? You know, the learning never stops. You're always wanting to improve and refine your skills, and this is where you like collaborate with people, work with people that are going to show you some cool new stuff. Like, for example, MXV, who's a good friend of mine. We had a Beatport #1 together. He releases regularly on Injuna Deep, Colorize, Core, like all of the big labels. Through that session, I learned a ton. You're probably going to start earning a return on your investment. Like, you know, at this stage, you're probably pumping loads of cash into like synths and equipment that you don't need. It's not what you have, it's how you use it. And to this point, like, MXV Mac, he has a pretty minimal setup. Like, yeah, he's got a load of plugins and stuff. His setup is his laptop, his headphones, his speakers, keyboard. That's about it. Grammy award-winning tracks have been made on GarageBand using only GarageBand and stock GarageBand instruments and effects. You don't need expensive gear to make great music. You just need to know how to write a good song, how to make it sound good, have it tell a compelling story in the arrangement, right? But if you're stuck here, or even here, or you think you're close to this, but something's not quite working, this is the sign that, you know, you need to probably go and refine a lot of things. Perhaps someone like Karina Lawrence, for example, like, you know, we took her, what she had, and just really flipped it on its head and refined it. Look where she is now. You know, this is her playing at drum sheds. She played twice last year at time of recording. She's on lineup for Purified as well. She's played at Injuna Deep Exploration. Basically, you can just look up a lineup and Karina Lawrence is probably going to be on it. Look, if you want results, assess where you're at, or you're probably not as good as you think you are. So many people say that they think they have a problem with promo or finding the right audience, but actually, it's much deeper than that. This little graph here, the song perfection or track perfection scale. This side here, you have 0% is like the worst track you could ever imagine, steaming pile of garbage. This doesn't exist. It's not possible. And, you know, you have people like Cardi B in the world. I'm kidding. But on the other end of the spectrum, you have 100%, which is absolutely perfect. It cannot be any better. It's the best song ever. Flawless production, flawless arrangement, flawless mix, flawless master. Not possible. Both ends of the spectrum are theoretical. Now, most people here, these colors match. The beginners and delusionals are going to be somewhere between 0 and 60%, right? Most producers who are the bedroom wannabes as well are going to be within 60 to 80, and the pros, people actually getting results, 80 to 100%. Most people fall within this range, and this is also where most people start releasing music. So to get to 60%, this is probably where there's nothing major wrong with your music. Like, there's still a lot of minor things. Most producers, you know, when they start releasing music, they'll be like, oh, this is good enough to release, right? And it doesn't really get results. But, you know, after a couple years of consistency and maybe a few pre-recorded courses or whatever, you might get to this 80% plateau, right? This is kind of like the upper limit where your music's decent, but it's just lacking that final polished pristineness that the pro level tracks have. It's just not compelling enough. It's not telling a compelling story. It's lacking the little details. The people that actually get the results are going the extra mile and doing things that most people aren't doing. And this is where it starts becoming about the little things. Not many people talk about these things. Because of that, it could take you years of trial or error, or just accidentally stumbling on a YouTube video. And by the way, most people don't talk about the stuff that takes you from here to here. I guarantee that, at least publicly. That's kind of where a lot of people get stuck, and they get frustrated, and sometimes they give up because they're like, I've been doing this, but I just can't ever get past this point, and they don't know what the problem is. And this is where, you know, actually getting help, like speaking to a coach, can really, really, really take things to the next level, because they can tell you exactly what you're doing right, exactly what you need to add in. Even if you get to 81%, you're standing out so much more than everyone else. Even if it's just a little bit better, it's noticeable. Get to 85, very noticeable. 90%, you know, you're like world class, okay? And you'll probably also notice that the big labels, like, you know, the likes of Colorize that Simon signed to, or iMusica, or Radicon, for example, or Purified, who Tim actually here, who he has signed to as well very recently, which is amazing. These kind of labels only are going to start taking you seriously once you get beyond 80% and stand out from everybody else. We're talking about like less than 1% of people in terms of their production. And, you know, this is really actually achievable to get to if you're serious and consistent and are open to getting feedback like I did with Kobe. For example, Matt from Seismic, you know, like these guys had so much potential. They started working with us and, you know, now their music's like being supported by like Afterlife DJs and Joris Vaughan as well, like insane. This stuff really does work, but you have to be open to being wrong and open to critique. So look, let's just show you the system. The first things you're going to have to do is think about the creative enhancement to stand out from the rest of the people. You need to be doing things that most other people aren't doing, and it needs to be, your ideas need to be really good. Master the components of a completed track. Now this is going to, number one, help you the workflow, but let's just say you need to know how to make from scratch or manipulate from samples and or presets where relevant when I talk about this, or for things like kick and basses, drums, leads, pads, vocals. You need to know how to make them sound awesome, but also interesting, really thought out and developed ideas that are going to stand out, right? Through doing that, like, you know, I'd say there are two things that make something interesting. The first being the actual notes you're playing, or sequences or patterns. That's got to be interesting, right? There's going to be things like variations. There's going to be things like progression to them. But then also the sound itself has to be interesting and also evolving over time and progress, right? Through things like automation. 99% of people don't do anywhere near enough automation on their music. I've listened to thousands of demos and most of them do not have the tension and release or progression in the track, and it just falls flat. But then also, this is a stigma for some people, right? But like learning music theory, if you know something works or is going to convey a certain emotion, then you don't have to waste hours trying to get something to sound like that. You can do it in seconds, right? For example, I know that this chord progression conveys this emotion, so I'm going to use it. Therefore, there's all my chords already done. The canvas is already set, and therefore I can just compose the rest of the track very quickly. And yes, some people can write really good music without any knowledge of theory, but I would argue, and I will die on this hill, that their success rate and how long it takes them to make a track that they're happy with, but also how many tracks are, you know, hits or actually good compared to the ones that flop is going to be much less than those that know music theory and can do it over and over again and do it quickly. Now, if you're not classically trained, that's absolutely fine. It doesn't matter if you've never played an instrument, but you can still learn the theory, getting you quicker results and better results. You can write better music much quicker, much easier, do it repeatably, right? The final thing as well in terms of the creative enhancement is the arrangement. Like, oh my gosh, I cannot explain how important this is in house and techno, particularly, especially the melodic styles and progressive styles. The hint is in the word progressive as well, by the way, and people fail this so badly. Your track has to tell a compelling story, okay? Every second counts. If there's a lull in the action, or you haven't created enough tension and release in the track, or it's just doing the same thing over and over again for quite some time, people are going to get bored. Part of this is using automation to keep the sounds interesting, creating tension and release. Like the sounds evolve and flow with the arrangement. So before a breakdown, you like have the sounds become a little bit sparser and thinner. As you're going towards a drop, you're like opening up the filters, like the decays and releases, so they get like really big, large, and like, oh my god, there's so much tension. And then the track drops and you release that tension. Funnily enough, like so many people are aware of the fact that their mix downs aren't that good. And they're like, oh, if only I was better at mixing and mastering. But actually, it's the creative stuff which you need to be better at as well. Sure, it's great to be good at mixing and mastering and have something that sounds technically good. At the end of the day, if you have something that's technically good, but actually creatively not that interesting, then still nobody's going to listen to it. It's just going to be boring and forgettable. Contrast that with something that is creatively good and technically not the best. If you send it to a label, they will probably offer to mix and master it for you. Some people have sent music to our label, and if I truly believe in it, I mix and master it for them. I know labels like Deep, they mix and master tracks for some artists as well, because not everybody is a good engineer. They have their own in-house engineers exactly for this. So if you think it's just about the mix and master, I'm afraid you're wrong. Part of this as well is having a way to be able to do this consistently and over again. Like, to get to this point, it might take you some time, but you need to be able to do that. So every track's going to be awesome and sound great. So this workflow side of things is critical. Every time you sit down, you need to know exactly what you're doing, where you are in the process, so that you can get the track finished. And a lot of people, you might be thinking like, oh, well, I've got my full-time job. I have girlfriend or husband or, a family. Maybe you have children as well, and maybe it's not only music you like doing in your life. Fundamental thing is that if you want to do this, you're going to have to make time for it and make some sacrifices. Like maybe you wake up an hour earlier, maybe you stay up an hour later, or you don't watch 5 episodes of Netflix every night. You can cut that down to 3 or even 2, or maybe even none, because you realize that actually watching TV is not that productive. You're going to have to find the time somewhere. Everybody has the same amount of time in the day. Yeah, some people have more responsibilities than others. So making the most out of the time that you do have is critical. My workflow, I can get a track done in 4 to 6 hours on a good day. Now, I am very quick, but I can guarantee if you use the workflow we'll show you in my program, regardless of how experienced you are, you can get a really good track done in 10 to 20 hours. Absolutely maximum, I guarantee that. Another side of things as well is like the ear training. You're never going to be able to mix a track well if you haven't trained your ears, and I cannot stress this anymore because it's this important, right? It's like, if you want to be big and strong, do you think you're just going to wake up one morning and suddenly be able to bench press like 200 kilos? Like, no, it doesn't work like that. You have to train. And it's the same with your ears, right? If you want to be good at mixing, you've got to train your ears. So if you've ever had feedback from me, you'll probably see like within seconds, I'm able to just go, okay, you have a problem in the 300 hertz range. You need to do a dip here, or it's too dull, boost here, or, whatever I say, but I can do it like that because I've trained my ears. You got to train your ears. You're not just going to suddenly be good at it. There's always this meme like, I spent 2 hours EQing my snare and it still sounds bad. EQing your snare takes 5 seconds. If that, if you know what you're doing and have trained ears. So training your ears is critical, right? And a really important step. It will make you so much quicker with production if you know what to do and how to do it and how to make stuff sound good. Yes, you can hire an engineer. It's very expensive, by the way, to do that, to get a good one. That's a lot of money that you could spend on promoting your track or investing in your education to never have to pay for an engineer again. Think about it that way. Now, another thing that's really critical here is around this kind of time is probably where you're going to be not knowing if what you're doing is right. So, you could be like Jonas, where you feel like you're pretty experienced. And like, Jonas, he's released on some decent labels. He's released on like sub-labels of Future Sound of Egypt and what have you. Now he's going to be releasing on the main label and really growing his audience as well. But he's like just making track after track, and it's really amazing. But the more experience you gain, it becomes more difficult to know where you're going wrong, and you just get in this loop of being stuck. Having that ability to ask experienced people who are there to help you is critical, right? Especially on the technical side of things, but also on the creative side. This is also going to play into having things like writer's block. It's actually a myth. Like, I guarantee you, if you've done all 3 of these things here, and you have got a good workflow, like writer's block just doesn't happen. You can always come up with something good. There's a few hacks that I can show you as well later down the line where you can always just come up with something, even if you're not feeling inspired, because you can just rely on the theory, right? Part of this as well is going to be to develop your own sound. Holy moly, I hear so many tracks these days that get sent to our label, our playlist, and what have you that sound pretty much exactly like carbon copies of Anima or Anima or Enema, I call him. That like melodic techno afterlife sound where it's just like kind of thing going on. I'm bored of it, man. Like, you're just trying to be someone else. Why should anybody listen to your fake attempt at what he's doing? Or would they go listen to him, right? It's a no-brainer. Creating your own sound is critical because it's going to help you to stand out. from everyone else. It's just critical to try and not do what everyone else is doing, because otherwise you're not going to stand out and you're just going to get stuck here and also here as the bedroom wannabe, trying to sound like everybody else. Sound like you. And by doing this, you know, we're going the extra mile, we're achieving consistency and refining what we have. By the time we're at this point, our music's pretty good, if not at the pro level. But this is where we need to start thinking about, you know, scaling and networking and growing an audience. So many people just say, if only I had the audience for it or a marketing budget before they have a good product. If you don't have a good product, it's very hard to market. But if you have an amazing product, you don't really need to be good at marketing or even really do that much. It just sells itself. How many advertisements you see around for, like, you know, budget cars like a Kia or a Volkswagen Polo or something like that would see for a Ferrari as pocket change? It's smart marketing, but it's very targeted, right? And that's what we need to do. So rather than trying to promote to everybody, we need to find people that we know like the music that we're making and talk to them in a smart way and give them what they want. We create a process of finding the right people for your music and getting them to engage with you and then escalating that relationship so that they become a fan. A follower is not a fan. Let's just say you have 100,000 followers. Does that mean 100,000 people are going to come to your show and buy your merch? Hell no, it doesn't mean that. It means that someone has shown the minimum interest in you, but you need a process which is going to take them from showing that interest, but then taking them to the point where they become a fan that's engaged with you, that's excited for you, for your music, and will buy a ticket to your show. They'll buy your merch and they'll tell all their friends about you. This is pretty easy once you know how to do it, and it works so well. Like, you look at somebody like Tim. When I first started working with him, he had about 2,000 followers. Now he has about 8,000, I believe, and he's got an email list of 5,000 or 6,000 people, which is so much more valuable than your follower count because he can hit them up anytime, right? Sell them stuff. It's amazing. Speaking of selling and promoting stuff, so you need to know how to promote your music the right way, not annoy potential fans. Putting your track on Facebook and tagging 100 random people, that's going to piss everybody off. Sending unsolicited DMs to your music with no context, that doesn't work. Nobody is going to click that link. There's many ways we can promote music, but so many people do it the wrong way and they don't get results. You don't need socials to promote music, by the way, guys. You also don't need a large email list. These things do help, especially when you start talking about the next step. But networking as well, we need to be finding the right people that can help us, whether or not they're coaches or other DJs and producers, like people that can support your music here, like they did for Seismic, which is amazing, or like other people that are there to support you and your growth, like Jonas here or Damien here, who just likes having the networking possibilities that we can provide. Phil, so many people out there just feel alone. They're trying to do something, and I'm not going to lie, what you're trying to do is difficult. It is difficult. Not many people succeed in it. But just having those people in your corner is great, who can support you and help you grow and keep you accountable, right? That's so critical. But, having DJs that are aware of you, that are going to play your music, having label contacts that are going to be able to sign your music or listen to your music, booking agents, all sorts of things like that. So important that we know how to go find these people and bring them onto our side. And part of that is going to be made so much easier by building leverage. So many people in the game think it's just about the music. I can tell you for a fact, having good music is the absolute minimum requirement. It's assumed that you have good music if you're going to be getting any of these next things here, like signing to labels, playing shows, and, monetizing your career and audience, right? You need to have something more than just that. I know a lot of people in the industry who have amazing music, but they're not doing some of these things. They're not monetizing their music. They're not playing shows, or maybe they are doing these things, but they're not signing to the top labels. There's something broken, and that is leverage. They don't have leverage, right? Having leverage is going to be what helps you punch above your weight. You can work with people who are tier higher or 2 or even 3 tiers higher than you, depending on what kind of leverage you have. I have used this to a T to get people like Lover, iMusic, and Jonas Salbach to work with me. And also getting Beatport #1s and getting gigs in Pasha and alongside Clanker Russell. Like, this is all from leverage that I built, right? Think about what the other parties are going to want, right? The more leverage you have, the better and easier you're going to be able to get bigger and better opportunities, rather than being stuck in this same place, this same loop of maybe signing to small labels or signing to, or playing at small gigs as the opener. You can actually jump up and collaborate with people that you want to collaborate with. So this is critical, and you need to start building leverage like right now. The best time to do it was 5 years ago, but the second best time is right now. You know, once we have all this ready to rock, we have this really interesting music that sounds great and stands out, and technically it sounds great, and we have this system in place, like our fan base is growing, we're promoting our music, and once we've gotten to this point, this is when the good labels are going to start taking notice. Because we have an audience of people that actually care about our music, and maybe we have a large email list as well, or something like a radio show, or I don't know, but people that actually care. Labels take this into consideration, right? It's not only about the music. It's like, what else do you have to sweeten the deal? So the top labels are not going to take you seriously until you got to a certain point, right? And yeah, there are some very good labels that will sign somewhat unknown talent. A label signing is a business decision. Are you going to pull your weight? Are you going to promote the release? Are they going to have to do everything and put in more money to grow you to the point where they actually will get their money back or make profit, right? Or if you already have like a bit of a following, a bit of an audience, you sign a track with them. It's like, oh, cool, we're going to actually make money on this release. It's worth investing in this because we'll get it back. But until you can demonstrate that you have people that actually care about you and your music, then it's going to be very unlikely you're going to be working with any of the top labels. This process here, these 4 phases, you need to do them in order, right? We don't even worry about any of the top labels until you've even gotten your music to the level where they would even consider it or even got a bit of traction going, right? Same with shows, right? You can get small shows as you're growing, and that's cool, but the big shows, you're not really going to get them until you are signing to big labels, right? There's many people I know in the London scene who are in this constant cycle of playing gig after gig after gig after gig, but they're always the opener, and they have been the opener for about 4 years, right, since I've known them, and they've never progressed. And the irony is, like, they get stuck, and the only way to get further is producing and signing to good labels, but they don't have time to produce because they're just playing all these shows constantly, and they're stuck in this loop, right? So the shows you want to be playing are ones that actually do something for your career. Like, if you're the opener all the time, people aren't coming for you. They're going for the headliner who's got that sick track that just came out, or multiple sick tracks that they've been releasing for years, right? If you want to get your way up to the next level, you need to be releasing good music on good labels. Having this leverage as well, like signing to a good label is credibility and leverage, but if you also have large email list of fans or a big audience, you're going to be able to play way more shows because it's just easier to promote it. Be like, hey, I've got this awesome release out. Plus, I have a large fan base who we can hit up by email. Equals lots of ticket sales, equals you getting booked, equals lots of great content, equals more fans. So these two things start playing into each other. It's like a self-sustaining economy kind of thing going on. So the more big labels to sign to, the easier it is to find new fans, the easier it is to promote it and build more leverage, which is going to lead to even more label signings and more shows and more content, which is going to get more fans, and it just goes on and on and on, and you start monetizing your audience and career, and this cycle just keeps going on and on and on, and you grow exponentially and start capitalizing. But it's so important on this topic is having a way to monetize them. Like, are you going to be playing lots of shows? That's one way of monetizing it. Like, are you going to be teaching people? That's one way of monetizing it. Do you have sample packs or something like that? Yeah, there's loads of ways you can make money in the music industry. Playing shows and label signings is one way, and that people think that's the only way. Yeah, that's essentially the system. You can't really skip the steps, guys. You're not going to sign to a top label if your music is not good enough. Unless you are very confident that your music is at the pro level, don't even bother thinking about these things here. Yeah, you might be able to play some shows as DJs, as a DJ set, like, but you're not going to be playing big shows. This stuff doesn't matter until you've finished these 2 steps and probably made good headway into this 3rd step here. This 3rd step is going to make this 4th step so much easier, right? So that's the system, that's the roadmap. Follow that process, you're gonna get good results. But if you need help with the implementation of this, then let's have a chat about that with me. But like, as I said, this is not a free service, but the way we can do this is the first thing that I would recommend would be our accelerator program. We have lots of courses that you can just dive into straight away, plus all of the replays of our calls, which are absolutely fantastic. So every week you can chat to me literally every single day if you're a member of this program. We have track feedback. So as I mentioned back here with Kobe here, like having that track feedback, someone that's actually doing what you're wanting to do, telling you what you need to fix about your music is absolutely game changing. You know, people are seeing like mad differences. Like, you know, people like Will, like it's tailored to you. Like we're there to help. Like everybody's situation is going to be different, right? And you know, as Will says, we actually care. We want you to win. So if you are the right fit, this is the amazing for you. But another thing as well that we do, which is fantastic, is we have these like get unstuck calls. So like if you are struggling with something in particular, you can come with questions and be like, hey, I don't know how to promote my music, or I'm struggling getting the low end or the bass to sound good on my track. Like, what would you recommend? And we can dive straight into that. It's tailored to you, right? So you can get all this stuff done. But I would say by far the most absolute gold thing here is the studio sessions. So twice a week, you can watch myself and Tim work on music. We're actually actively explaining what we're doing in the process. Like you have these studio sessions here, and you know, you can watch all the replays as well. So there's like an absolute gold mine of material that you can dive into straight away alongside the live stuff. Like we also have trainings as well. So, you know, this is the community as well, so everybody's there to help and support you. You can ask questions and what have you outside of the calls. But in the trainings, you know, people ask like, for example, Neil here was asking, can we do a session on mastering? And I literally just recorded that the other day. So yeah, we do hear what you're saying. Yeah, so that's the way it works. Like, you know, we basically hold your hand through it. You get actionable feedback each week. And also we give you training specific to what you need. So it's absolutely incredible. You know, you just like look at some of the people here, like Phil loves it, and our energies, and he's seen some unbelievable transformations, which is great. Kai absolutely loves it. Yeah, like the Q&A sessions are amazing. Like, you know, we there to specifically help. And like, you know, you're watching this on YouTube, like I do try answer the YouTube comments where I can, but like so different to speaking with somebody face to face and like actually seeing what they're doing, like in the studio broadcast here. Like we're there actively explaining what we're doing. You can ask questions in real time. You can be like, hey, what was that thing you did and why did you do that? Like, oh yeah, this is why I did it. It's like absolutely gold, guys. If you want to learn more about that and have a chat with me directly, the link is in the description. But yeah, there you have it. That's it. That's your roadmap to be a pro producer. Follow these phases and steps and you will get there. But if you need help with the implementation, let's have a chat about it. Link is in description. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And yeah, drop a comment if you found this useful. Very excited to be chatting with some of you as well about taking your music to the next level. Let's do this. See you soon.